we're going to have the reading of the law. We're going to start at Exodus 20th chapter, verses 1 through 17. Exodus 20th chapter, 1 through 17. Go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of their fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Now we'll go to Ecclesiastes 12, and we read verses 13 and 14. Ecclesiastes 12, verses 13 and 14. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Now we'll go to Revelations 22, and read verses 14 and 15. Revelation 22, verses 14 and 15. Go ahead.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
As we see, the commandments, just like they were in the old times, read at the in the sanctuary. We read them here today to remind you every day you're going to have to keep these commandments. But if you paid attention to that last verse that he just read, he said there are sorcerers, right? That lets you know that sorcery is real. And in this lesson, you're going to find out to believe that it's not real is saying the Bible is lying. But it's very real, and it's even upon us today. So the title of today's lesson is Witchcraft. I am Brother Antoine, and here with me reading is Brother Curtis. And welcome to the Israel of God, where our interpretation is expressly prohibited. So this lesson is a follow-on lesson to the Doctrine of Manifestation, which I did here a few years ago. And the Doctrine of Manifestation, we talked about how people trying to get all these manifestations from the Lord as they think the Lord is, you just rub him like a lat, right? And he's gonna come out and grant you all that your heart's desire. Well, when you find out that that doesn't actually work, where do you go? Witchcraft. Somewhere where they can grant you your heart's desire. So we're gonna look at a video, and we're gonna show you two videos. And after the first video, I'll do a little commentary just to remind you what was in that video, and then we'll roll to the second video. Okay? So I want y'all to take a look at this and pay attention to all that you see. All that you see is going on. It is going on today, right here. Okay? All right, go ahead and cue the video. Yeah. I don't know how to turn it on. There we go.
Growing numbers of African American women in Maryland and across the nation are leaving traditional church worship. All of them are in search of something else, a spiritual belief that connects them to their ancestors and where they can feel more empowered to control their own well-being. They have found it in ancient forms of spiritual contact. Some call it witchcraft, a term they accept and embrace. For most of us, this is how we worship, a tradition that predates us all. This, too, is an ancient art of worshiping, not to God the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, but to spirits and deities that span the oceans and date back to pre-slavery days in Africa. Are you, in fact, witches?
Whatever the situation calls for. So if you come to me with pleasantries, you being respectful, you'll get Glinda, the good witch of the suburbs. But if you come at me with negativity and meanness and disrespect, then you'll get Eveline, your worst nightmare.
They have many names and titles and ranks within their belief system. They are college-educated professional women who've chosen to believe that theirs is a truer example of worship that is inclusive of the genders. It connects them, they say, to their ancestors and fills a need not found in traditional worship, though most of them grew up in the church.
I was raised Christian, all Christians in my family. In fact, my grandfather was a preacher in the South.
I also grew up Christian. I grew up Anglican in the Episcopal Church. The older I got, the more disconnect I felt.
I was raised Baptist. My father is a deacon, my mom a deaconess. I was in church all the time.
These women are part of a sect, Ile Ola Afefe Osameji, spiritual temple. They worship and offer prayers to Oshun, a predominant deity.
She's the deity or the Orisha of aesthetics, beauty, sex, sensuality.
There are growing numbers of African American women who have chosen for themselves a new life, leaving the church in search of more meaning in their lives. And yes, it can be called witchcraft. At a recent convention in Baltimore, more than 200 witches gathered, a sisterhood, but their spells are for good, not for evil. In this ritual, the women are preparing an offering to Oshun on behalf of a woman in California who's looking for a mate. The omelet-type dish is sweetened with honey, believed to be a favorite of Oshun. Prayers are said over the offering and for the woman in need. A portion is offered to Eshu, the male counterpart of Oshun, and placed in a secret place beneath the stairs of this Odenton home. Using shells, they ask the spirit if she is pleased. 4 shells are tossed to the floor, 2 land up, 2 land down. Balance. The gift is accepted.
She accepts it.
The traditions may seem odd to most, a mystery to some, complex and multi-layered. But these daughters of the moon, followers of Oshun, women, powerful, determined, and understanding, say there is nothing to fear. They are here, and they will be here for the foreseeable future. Yes, there are witches among us.
This is something that our ancestors did, and all we're doing is tapping back into it so that we can become our best selves, individually and collectively.
There's so much more to this story than our time will allow, so our conversation continues with these women, where they reveal much more to me. And if you want to watch the extended interview, head to our website, WJZ.com, to watch Behind the Lens. And for even more information, there is a link to the Daughters of the Moon, also at WJZ.com.
Now, I want you to notice what she said. She said, this is something that our ancestors did. She's not lying. Okay. And you notice they said African-American women, didn't it? Talk about Israelites, right? And they are not lying. That is something that they did. And I'm going to prove it to you. So also pay attention. Did you notice when they was offering those offerings, it looked like the sign of the cross again? They just top, the bottom, go back, and then they do the other side. Just pay attention to all this stuff. It's all paganism. Now we're going to run another video and show you. Go ahead.
I honestly believe Jesus was one of the most toxic relationships I've ever had in the entirety of my life.
You shouldn't keep your magic in the dark. Like, this is your soul. You need to share it to the world.
Let it rain on me now. So be it, so it is.
I was a super Christian. I was raised in the church. I was a worship leader. I'm like singing all over the place and touring over here and crying out to God. How many times have I prayed to Jesus to show up for things that were actually needed and he didn't show up?
Melissa Whetstone grew up as a preacher's kid, but 12 years ago, she left the church. She says the community felt toxic and she didn't feel a personal connection to Jesus.
Hi, how are you? I need the frankincense and myrrh I see is here.
She eventually discovered Lukumi, a religion that was brought to Cuba by enslaved West Africans.
It's just a beautiful thing to be a part of. It's a beautiful community spirit. You're learning and growing with other people, so I really love it.
Black folks have left the church in higher numbers over the last decade than ever before, and younger generations are even less likely to affiliate with the church. But many young people are still seeking spirituality, and some are reviving traditions from Africa and the Caribbean through practices that connect them with their ancestors.
This is my boveda, or my altar. A few glasses of water, and that's just for my specific ancestors who watch and look over me. I have liquor that my uncle likes, gotta make sure he still get lit on the other side. I feed them, I talk to them, I spend time with them. Like, this is my place to be.
So can you talk about some of the differences in what you study now to what your relationship was with Christianity then? What are you getting out of Lukumi that you didn't find in the Christian church?
I get answers to my prayers. That I tell people that all the time. Like, when they're like, what's the difference? I'm like, because my prayers are answered. Like, that's one. When I come to my altar and I pray to my ancestors and I actually take my time to cry out, not only do I get responses, I get physical manifestations and answers.
Y'all hear that? Just like the doctrine of manifestation, right? She said she get physical manifestations and answers. Now, you notice that they said the religion that she was practicing was Lukumi out of Caribbean, right? To help them do what? Get out of slavery. Why they never got out? If she get answers, her name should not be Johnson, right? What happened? It was another article I'm gonna bring you. It's the November 5th, 2018 article by The Atlantic called Witches of Baltimore. Hence, the first sect was in Baltimore, right? And they was practicing Orisha or Orisha. Listen to what it says. It says, and it's by Segal Samuel, it says, African-American witchcraft originated in West Africa, the birthplace of Yoruba. You know, we got a lady here today that's a Yoruba priestess that claims she can fix your life. What you think she's fixing your life with? So it says, a set of religious traditions focused on reverence for ancestors and worship of a West pantheon of deities known as Orishas. Those traditions accompanied West Africans who were brought to the Americas as slaves and were eventually combined with Western religions such as Catholicism that many slaves were pushed to embrace. Now, check it out. Pull up that first slide we have. We notice that you think about witches and all that stuff, and you think about, oh, it's all goblins and ghouls and all that. Pull up that first slide. No, the first one. There we go. Blow that up for me. Now, you see here that this is mostly what it looks like. Now, we're talking about what we see known as witchcraft, but what it said they did, they're changing it to all the things they learned in Catholicism. It looks like this. And we're going to pull these slides and we're talking about the colors and everything. It looks like this. You saw the same images in the video.
Yep.
Didn't you see the cross by the little altar she had? Wasn't it a cross over there?
Yes, it was.
And if you got a toxic relation with Jesus, what's this for? Because it's here. Satan, it's all paganism. If you don't know who the sucker is when you walk into a hustle, it's you. You're not paying attention. You see that with the exorcists. What we do when we see the exorcists? We rooting for the priest. Yeah, get him, get Satan, right?
Yeah, right.
They both working for Satan. He looks just like that.
Yeah.
You're not paying attention that it's you. They're getting you going and coming. Like Satan, he's like Lenny. Y'all remember that? Good times?
Lenny.
My name is Lenny. I got plenty. If I ain't got it, there ain't any. And that's what he's showing you. All you got to do is pay attention to his game plan, because just like they were saying, I went into the museum of the Field Museum. I'm taking my son to go see some dinosaurs. In there, they once had a thing about voodoo or voodoo. And when you go into the part when you're talking about the slavery and slave trade, and you walk in there and you keep walking and start talking, showing what they did on the chopping blocks and all that. But when you get toward the end, it started talking about orishas. And what were they doing? They were doing all of that to get out of slavery. So then to ease the tensions. But why you couldn't get out of it? Because you couldn't overthrow the Lord. The Lord put you in it, and he only one that can get you out of it. And so what they said they did was the same thing we just read. They took on what they was calling that Roman Christian stuff and was putting their stuff behind it. It was no different. So let's get right down to it. We're going to look at it all. So, because in these religions of voodoo and vodou, they had that thing called Iwa. You know what Iwa is? It's how the spirit flows back and forth. And then we do the same thing. We go to the funerals, and what we do, we release doves and let that flow back, like acting like, oh, that's his spirit that went up.
Or balloon.
Yeah, all of that stuff is the same stuff. But let's get down to it. I don't want to hold you with all the talking. Let's start in Genesis 3. Genesis 3. It starts in the beginning. Genesis 3. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Genesis 3 and 1. Genesis 3 and 1. We're going to read 1 and we're going to skip to verse 4. We're going to read 1 and skip to verse 4. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto the woman, yeah, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
So he approached the woman and said, hey, you shouldn't eat of did God say you shouldn't eat of every tree of the garden? Skip down to verse 4. Go ahead.
And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
What? Ye shall not surely die. Now, we know if we had read that God told you talk to this, you're going to die. He come with the first lie. Ye shall not surely die. This lie going to weave its way through all of it. Didn't she say that she was talking to her uncle? Mm-hmm. If you talking, guess what you ain't? You ain't dead. Right. That's what you're not. Right? Go ahead.
For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Go ahead. To verse 6, 4 to 6, right?
Yes. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
So she took of that same lie and spread it. That was the goal. Let's spread this lie throughout the whole world. You shouldn't surely die. Let me show you. And Satan is truly agnostic. He don't care who you are. He can jump on you. The people that think that you can't be got with this are the same ones that's gotten with it. You always be aware. The Lord told you walk circumspect. You know what that means? You always looking. You got your back against the wall and your head on a swivel.
That's right.
Let's go. First John 4. You have to be aware. 1 John 4, because it can jump on anybody. Don't think you exempt. Oh, I go to the Israel of God. Hey, that's the ones I like. Let me show you. 1 John 4 and 1. 1 John 4 and 1. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God. Because many false prophets are gone out into the world.
Many false prophets gone out into the world. Did he say many Israelites?
No, he said.
Many Israelite false prophets, many Sunday false, all of them. Many false prophets gone out into the world. Let's skip down to verse 5. Go ahead.
They are of the world. Therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them.
What were they all talking about? Stuff of the world. Ooh, I'm get a man.
Yep.
Right? They threw the dice down. Sorry, excuse me, I don't know what else to call it, but it looked like dice to me.
Right.
But they threw the dice down, shook it up like craps. Hey, I'm gonna get a man. He accepts the gift, right? Hey, why Orange Shaw, whoever he is, like eggs, I do not know. But he accepted them, right?
Right.
But it's of the world. They was asking for a man. She was asking for healing. All that stuff is of the flesh. Those are the answers you getting. The reason you're not getting answers from God, you know why? You asking the wrong question.
Thank you. Thank you.
You should be asking questions about how can I seek the kingdom of God more?
Yes,
but you
sir.
asking questions about how can I get some more man or woman? How can I get the big car? I've never seen it. I've never seen it in the Bible where one of the prophets or apostles like, Lord, please, car, big car, horse and chariot. I never saw it. How is it that that's what you expecting out of God and you never seen him deliver that?
Yes, sir.
But let's keep going. Did we go verse 5?
We finished 5. We had 6.
Go to 6. Go ahead.
We are of God. He that knoweth God heareth us. He that is not of God heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error.
Y'all catch what it said? We are of God. So God hear us.
Yes, sir.
If you ain't of God, he don't hear you. So you need to check that since you called yourself a super Christian.
Right.
Jesus didn't call himself. He said, why call thou me good?
Right.
You sit up here talking super? Out of all
right.
and now and I'll do that later. Let's keep going. Matthew 16.
Yes, sir.
Matthew 16. It appalls me when I hear this stuff and people are taken in by it because they think, ooh, they so deep. Ooh, man, they really got the answers. And you got the answer right here. For Shut up, man. Come on, man. Come on. Let's stay focused. Matthew 16:21. Matthew 16 and 21. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee.
Now he read that wrong because it said Peter took him then to rebuke him. Peter didn't rebuke Jesus, did he?
He rebuked him.
Hey, man, that's some strong. He rebuked him. When I saw that, I was tripping out. But he said, this should not be unto thee, right? Yes. Go ahead, verse 23.
But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men.
Wait a minute, where does Satan come in at? Didn't he say Peter did that?
Yep.
And he said, this should not be unto thee. Thou shalt not surely die. It's the same message I told you is going to weep. And it got on Peter. So if it got on Peter, who the Lord left the keys of the kingdom to, what makes you think you exempt?
Right.
And he was talking to Jesus. It was so much so he rebuked Jesus.
Yes, sir.
It got on him just that much because he what did Satan pull on? Those heartstrings. Hey, your emotions got him all wrapped up. He didn't want to see. That's a good thing not to want to see Jesus die. But he said, you suffer the things that be of men. You suffer in the flesh. God got a whole plan of salvation and you telling me I'm not going to accomplish it. You pay attention to what you're saying.
Yes,
so he said, you suffer the things that be of men, not, why didn't it say you suffer the things that be of Satan? Because Satan ain't focused on Satan. Satan focused on you. I told you he loved the ones that go to Israel of God. Go ahead.
Then said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me.
Go ahead.
For whosoever shall save his life shall lose it. And whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it.
Oh, so you got to give up all this stuff to get it. And I'm talking about anybody in the world. I just use Israel of God as a metaphor. But anybody that's serving God, if you truly serving him, you got to give it all up. Whatever's in his flesh, you got to be willing to let it go.
Yes, sir.
So he said, those that lose their life for my sake shall find it. Now, you can lose your life for that other stuff. What would you be willing to give for your life? Evidently, if I don't get no answers that I'm looking for, I'm willing to give it all up for my life. But what you willing to give up for your life? Keep going.
26. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?
So if you gain the whole world, she gonna leave the Lord, because what was it called? Leaving Jesus, wasn't it? Now I know they wasn't really serving the real Jesus, but now that you gonna poo-poo on the name now. If I come to you and say Jesus, you gonna reject now. So he said, what would they give in exchange for their soul? Evidently, they'd be willing to give up anything to get some of this fleshly stuff that profit their soul. If I can get answers that's going to profit my soul, or you heal my mama, or you heal my baby, I'll give it all up for it. I'm telling you, it's still here. Let's keep going. Let's go to Isaiah 29. All these spirits focuses on man's needs and wants and desire. Everything all of them talked about was all your wants and desires. Isaiah 29. Let's show you, because here's what puzzled me. Well, Jesus said, get thee behind me, Satan. When did you hear Satan? When did he get in there? What happened? Let's go to Isaiah 29 and verse 4. We're going to see how he operates so you'll know how it comes. Isaiah 29 and verse 4. We're going to read one verse. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt be brought down and shalt speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust.
So he's talking to Israel. He's telling them, you're going to get brought down low and you're going to speak low. You ain't going to have no might in you, right? And your speak going to be low out of the dust. But we're not here for that. What we here for? Go ahead, Curtis.
And thy voice shall be as one of that hath a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust.
Oh, so that's how Satan come. That's why you didn't hear him. Because he whispered low out of the dust. Got on Peter so smooth, got in his mind. I know how they come. Because when I was about 18, 19, something like that, I'm getting off the train in Chicago, and some lady walked by me, right? And she say, what? I'm from the west side of Chicago. I speak loud as you see it today. What did you say? Would you like your psychic reading today? No! And my Dave Chappelle voice. Like, what? You know, and I was about a year or two out before I got in the word, but I knew that. Don't mess with that, right? So they speak low. They come so smooth, just so nice. People look, ooh, you saw it said educated women. It's just educated, smooth people. It's nothing like you seeing on TV. That's the trick. You the one being hustled. So pay attention. It's real nice, smooth, educated, mild. Satan has always been smooth. Let's keep going though. Let's look how the Lord said, handle them when you see this. Let's go to Deuteronomy 13. We're going to read 1 through 10. So a lot of them said that the Bible was the biggest spell book they ever seen. No, it's the biggest uncover spell books, because that's what the Lord is all about, uncovering this stuff. When we read this Deuteronomy, you surely gonna see. Deuteronomy 13 and 1. Deuteronomy 13, we're gonna read 1 through 10. And he's gonna show you that they'll come to you. The Lord never said that they didn't exist. He's telling you how to deal with them when they approach you. Let's go to Deuteronomy 13 and 1. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, And the sign or the wonder come to pass.
Wait a minute. What? The sign of wonder didn't happen.
It happened.
The Lord, it came to pass, right? So they give you a sign of wonder, and the sign of wonder come to pass. Go ahead.
Whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God proveth you.
Proveth who?
Proveth you.
Maybe you the one on the chopping block. He said a sign of wonder come to pass. And he said, after the sign of wonder come to pass, girl, you should go to my church. Right? Or you should come where I'm coming, brother. You see, I told you exactly what was going to happen, and it happened. And you start thinking that that's the way to go. He said, but the Lord your God proveth you. So every time somebody come prophesying into your life and pouring, the new term, I'm sorry, that's old school, the new term, pouring into you, what are you pouring into me? Every time somebody start doing that and it actually happens that way, does that mean that they're serving a God?
No, sir.
Finish read.
To know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
Are you willing to give it all up for Jesus, or are you going to go for whatever's on your soul? Well, he want to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, and all you got. With every fiber of your being. Go ahead.
You shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cleave unto him.
You notice something about all these people who come to you and they pouring into your life and they tell you all the good stuff. It's always good stuff. All the good stuff that's going to happen to you, and they repeating and they doing the prophesying. You notice one thing they never tell you to do. Keep the commandments. They never, so you're going to tell me all the good stuff the Lord going to do for me without telling me to keep his commandments? The key to get him to do this stuff for me? That's how you know they prophet line.
Prophet line.
That's how you know they prophet line. How? Because you didn't tell me the key to even getting all this good stuff you claim I'm going to get. You just said I'm going to get it for nothing? I ain't got to do nothing to get it. Come on, let's go. Go ahead.
And that prophet or that dream of dreams shall be put to death.
Hold up. I'm sorry for interrupting him again. All what I am telling you, Antoine or the Israel of God is not saying at all, not one iota, that you put somebody to death. If you do, I don't know you. Okay? However, keep going, Curtis.
Because he hath spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee.
That you can do. Like how they said, leaving Jesus, they wanted to thrust you away out of him. Away from him. That you can do. Put them out of the midst of you. What else you got to do? Go ahead.
If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy father, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee, or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall thine eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him.
What should you do?
But thou shalt surely kill him.
All right. We're not saying that, but your eye can't pity him. I'm gonna tell y'all, me and James is tight as always, okay? I mean, we go back a long time, and Curtis too. But you let them one time say to me, hey man, let's go get a quick palm read. Or my signs say, I'm a Gemini, my signs say do X, Y, and Z. You let that happen one time. Brother boy, hey, and then watch James call my number. He gonna get, at the tone the dial should be. It's not happening. I want him and Curtis and anybody to know that I'm the one that told on you. I snitch. I'm teaching classes afterwards for free. I'll show you how to do it. Keep going. Go ahead.
Thine hand shall be first upon him to put him to death. And afterwards, the hand of all the people. and thou shalt stone him with stones, that he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
That's right. So it looks like, you know how people got that thing, not snitching, stop snitching? It looked like that's exactly against the commandments of God. The Lord said, be the first upon them. Hey, I would have called you early, but the line was busy. I'm letting you know now. You put your hand, you don't let it go on in here. That's the Lord is showing you.
That's right.
That I hate it. Now, again, I am not saying that you kill, stone, or thrust nobody through at all, however much you might like to, but that ain't your call to do. But I am saying you put your hand on it, and you be the first to raise your hand when you see an evil done. Let's keep going, though. Let's go to Jeremiah 44. Jeremiah 44. And we're going to look at something. What Israel went back to doing.
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah 44. And we're going to start at verse 2. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah 44 and verse 2. You don't let it be. It said, the hand said, your mother, your father, your wife, your children, whatever it is you love, you can't love nothing more than God. Didn't Jesus say that? Whoever put somebody, mother, father over me is not worthy of me?
Yes, he said.
Because you got to give it all up. So it don't matter who it is, how much you love, that's my little baby. It don't matter. Put your hand on them. Not physically. Just be the first to call it out. Let's go. Jeremiah 44 verse 2. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah 44 verse 2. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, you have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem and upon all the cities of Judah. And behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth therein.
Go ahead.
Because of their wickedness, which they have committed to provoke me to anger, in that they were to burn incense and to serve other gods whom they knew not, neither they nor your father.
Now check it out. It said went to burn incense, didn't it? And do all that stuff that they got out of Egyptology. He said they went back. So you think Egyptology stuff, all the stuff is new? No, it ain't new. One stuff come from Canaanites, one stuff come from Egypt. Don't matter. It's all pagan. But let's keep going. Let's skip on down to verse 5. Go ahead.
But they hearken not, nor incline their ear to turn from their wickedness, to burn no incense unto other gods.
Still doing it. Skip to 7. Go ahead.
Therefore, now thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, wherefore commit you this great evil against your souls, to cut off from you man and woman, child and suckling, out of Judah, to leave you none to remain.
You see what the Lord gonna do? You love that baby so much you didn't put the hand on. He said, I'll cut them on to everybody. Keep going. Go ahead.
In that you provoke me unto wrath with the works of your hands, burning incense unto other gods in the land of Egypt. Whither you be gone to dwell, that you might cut yourselves off, and that you might be a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth.
Go ahead.
Have you forgotten the wickedness of your fathers, and the wickedness of the kings of Judah, and the wickedness of their wives, and your own wickedness, and the wickedness of your wives, which they have committed in the land of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem?
You see this? It's everybody got involved. Nobody was innocent. All of them were guilty. The wives, everybody. So, and the husbands sitting there watching it, and all the children and everything. They all got involved. It's no different than now. Don't look at them and objectify them and think, that's what they did. That's what you was doing too. Go ahead, keep going.
They are not humbled even unto this day. Neither have they feared nor walked in my law, nor in my statutes that I set before you and before your fathers.
You notice the key of what he keeps saying? They have not feared, neither have they walked in my law. They just kept going after other gods, wouldn't walk in my law. Skip to verse 15. Go ahead.
Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods,
they put their hand upon them. So all these, you see what's happening? The Lord is laying it all down, just like you saw in the video. You had all these women. Some of them got married. Only one of them looked like they were looking for a man, right? but all the men knew. The priests and all of them knew what their wives were doing what the other guys. Start verse 15 again. Go ahead.
Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, in Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying.
So all these people that went back to Egypt and doing all that stuff, and Jeremiah approached them about what they were doing. He said, all of them answered, and go ahead, go 16, go ahead.
As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee. But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, and our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem.
Didn't that lady say on that video, our ancestors? She said, this come from our ancestors. Which ancestors are these? The ones that would not hearken unto the word of the Lord. They still your ancestors. They still did it. She was not lying. That's how we got it. Keep going.
For then had we plenty of victuals and were well and saw no evil.
Oh, we had plenty of the Spirit of the Lord. No, we had plenty of victuals. We got all this flesh when we did it, right? And we ain't see no evil come upon us when we did it. Go ahead.
But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine.
So she like, hey, they were like, hey, when we were serving this Queen of Heaven, we was getting that bad. We got all the victuals, we got everything we wanted. But when we left off and tried to start serving God again, we was one for all things. Maybe you was asking the wrong questions.
Right.
Maybe you was asking for the wrong things, and that's why you got the wrong things. Go ahead.
19. And when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make her cakes to worship her?
And what else?
And pour out drink offerings unto her?
And who was there?
Without our men?
Oh, so who answered Jeremiah? The women answered him.
Right.
The women like, hey, the men just sitting back, I guess. You know? they put the finger. You supposed to be the first to put your hand on it. They put their hands on, hey, and they was with us.
Right.
You know, they was with us. Hey, like they say, when you get caught, your friends, they still in hiding. Come on out, y'all. They caught us. Let's look at this again. Let's look at how the Lord really feels about it. Let's go to Isaiah 65.
They caught us.
Isaiah 65, right?
Right, 65.
65 and 2. Let's see how the Lord, what he thinks about this. Because some of us involved in this mess. I know some people in the world that get it. I still see people here talking about some, because my sign, I'm going to say, it's going.
Yep.
I hear that.
Yep, surely do.
Right?
Yes.
Let's keep going, though, because I knew some people that was actually doing this thing. So you heard they said we burning incense unto other gods and all that, right? Keep going. Let's go to 65 and 2. Ready? Go ahead.
I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face.
Go ahead.
That sacrificeth in gardens and burneth incense upon altars of brick. Which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh and broth of abominable things is in their vessels.
Go ahead.
Which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are smoke in my nose and a fire that burneth all the day.
So we see how the Lord thinks about it. And he said they're doing what? Burning incense upon altars of brick. You saw in the video, they always had incense. She was going to the store to get the frankincense and all that, right? So they always doing this. And the Lord say, you are smoke in my nose and a fire that burneth all the day. And they always saying one thing. Back in the old school, you start talking about this word like this. And they always talk about, I'm holier than you. Or don't come in here with that the spirit on you, right?
That aura.
Don't come on. But now it's your aura's off. Your energy is off. Now, I've always wanted, look, I've taken some major engineering courses, y'all, stuff that I've hated unto this day, that it was so hard, right? And I always had to get an equation to calculate the energy. How you got it off the bat? You looking at me, oh, that energy off. You know, just off the bat, I ain't said one word.
Right.
But this is what they do. Don't you come near to me. I'm holier than you. Don't come in here. You're breaking the aura. Same message. I told you when you don't know who the sucker is, it's you. Now you thinking, oh, see, they was on that holy thing, but I'm on energy. It's the same thing. But let's look at that definition of smudging, because I know people that was in this world.
You want to do 6?
Oh, it was verse 6? Yeah, verse 6. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense into their bosom.
He said, don't think I ain't watching because I ain't said nothing yet.
Right.
I'm still watching. Read the definition of smudging.
Smudging.
Are you all putting it up or no? They're going to put it up so the people can read it too.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Smudging is traditionally a ceremony for purifying or cleansing the soul of negative thoughts of a person or place. There are 4 elements involved in a smudge. The container, traditionally a shell representing water, is the first element. The 4 sacred plants, cedar, sage, sweetgrass, tobacco, gifts from Mother Earth, represent the second element. The fire produced from lighting the sacred plant represents the third element. The smoke produced from the fire represents air, the 4th element.
Now, this is how they do the smudge. Now, if you notice, in that first slide I showed you, saw them all around. They had that little crucible, and they go smudging everywhere and saying this is going to ward off the evil spirits. Remember, because they said they only cast good spells, right?
Right.
So this is going to ward off the evil spirits. I'm going to burn some sage and just do it. Now, why nobody told Saul that?
Right.
He had that evil spirit on him. Why nobody told that guy Legion that, hey, man, you can get some sage.
Right.
And you burn that junk. All 12, 50,000 of them going to get off of you.
Right.
What happened? If sage was the clue, usually that evil spirit on you because God sent him. And a lot of times you can't get him off you because he sent him and you done something. Right. But that sage ain't never got me nothing except sausage, right?
Right.
I ain't never known sage to do nothing but do that. But according to them, this is what you can do. And it probably works because it's Satan running the whole hustle. I'm going to put this one on, and it just got you fooled. But let's keep going. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18. But I'm telling you, it's a lot of people that was here doing that stuff. You know, we got to cleanse the house. How are you cleansing something?
Right.
Burning sage.
Run around with sage.
What have you cleansed? Let's keep going, though. Deuteronomy 18. Deuteronomy 18. We're going to start at verse 9. We're going to read 9 through 14. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch.
Or a witch. So we see it's real, don't it? See, you got to know the difference between them, because you got like voodoo or vodou. That's a religion. That's a religious practice. But then you got hoodoo, and most of y'all from the South and New Orleans and all of y'all know that one. Hoodoo is not a religion. Most of y'all hoodoo people, they were quote unquote Sunday Christians, wasn't it? They were still going to church, still doing that. And once church over, girl, you want that man? I'm going to give you a little. That's hoodoo. They go out in the lodge in the graves and the monuments, break the glass, do all this little stuff, get that little powder, and that's what they putting
That root magic.
That root work and conjure men and conjure women. That's hoodoo. We're gonna see it. It's all written about, right? So now he's telling them about all of them. Like, look, I don't want to see you doing this. I don't want to see you doing mess with no spirits, no wizards, or necromancer. What's a necromancer? Somebody that works with the dead. A lot of hoodoo work with the dead. Okay? So a lot of them deal with necromancers. All these people we talking about still Israelites. Okay? So keep going. Go ahead.
You want me at 12 or 11?
Verse 11. Go ahead.
Or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer.
Go ahead.
For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee so to do.
So check it out. So those people before you did it, so the ancestors that you did, those ancestors were following the Canaanites. That ain't your ancestry. That's the ancestry of the Canaanites that your ancestors picked up. He cleaned it out, then you went over there and picked it back up. He cleaned it out of the land for you to, and because they were doing it, then you go to the land and pick it right back up. What happened? Let's keep going though. Let's go to Leviticus 20.
Leviticus 20.
Leviticus 20, 1 through 7.
Okay.
And then we're going to skip to 27. Leviticus 20, 1 through 7. Now you calling something your heritage that wasn't even your heritage. It was the Canaanites' heritage and the Egyptians' heritage. 21 through 7. And then skip to 27. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be out of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. And I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech, to defile my sanctuary and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do anyways hide their eyes from the man which he giveth of his seed unto Molech, and kill him not.
And do what?
And kill him not.
Remember, we are not condoning you kill somebody. However, if you you all know what giving your seed to Molech is, keep going. We're going to figure it out.
Then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go whoring after him, to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people.
So anybody that's going to deal with Molech, he said, I'm going to cut you off, especially giving your seed to him. Where we at?
6.
Keep going.
And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards, to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people.
Do what?
Sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God.
So doing this stuff makes you what? Unholy, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
he said, anybody that do it, you better watch out for them, and especially if they give their seed off to Molech, or they deal with any evil spirits or wizards or any of that, right? Skip on down to verse 27. Go ahead.
A man also, or a woman that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them.
Now, this is mostly like now what they call in voodoo. This is a little religion where they have witch doctors and all this, and they do this where they give their seed to Molech. Giving your seed to Molech means you let them pass through the fire. In other words, you sacrifice your child, right, to Molech. But let's read. We ain't done yet. Let's read that JAMA Network article, November 23, 1964. You ready? Do you have it? Okay, don't worry about it. You'll read it and you'll be all right. Ready? About voodoo. Go ahead.
JAMA Network, November 23rd, 1964. Voodoo, black magic, and the Hawaiian kahuna, primitive people.
So the Hawaiian kahuna, primitive people. So you got like people similar to that around here, like the Samoans and stuff like that. So this was happening in 1964. This is not 1064 or nothing like this. Is 1964. This, some of us, well, I wasn't living, but our parents were living, right? Some of us still living today from 1964. So this is recent. Go ahead.
Primitive people in various parts of the world, when subjected to sorcery or black magic, may become seriously ill or die.
Go ahead.
Vadu, has been reported among Negroes.
Among who?
Negroes.
Oh, go ahead.
In Africa and Haiti, and among the Aborigines of Australia.
Now, so this is this blood magic or black magic that's been reported among us doing it. We picked it up. Keep going. We're gonna read from another book called Blood Magic by this woman, Selak. She wrote and told, because she still practices, and told us about blood magic. Now, I don't know if you all got that one. You got it? Now, I want you to pay attention to this, because when we get to reading it in the Bible, you're going to see it. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Blood Magic by Selak. Blood use is equivalent to every facet of witchcraft because of its tremendous power. Blood magic, also recognized as blood sorcery, is an ancient and severe kind of magic. This mystical but forbidden magic is used to cast spells and charms. Still, it may also be the loss of life that sustains the spell. Some blood may be made to be more potent than others. Common types are human blood, the caster's own blood, the blood of royalty.
Pay attention to that. The blood of royalty. Go ahead.
An extraordinary family lineage, a youth's blood, or a virgin's blood. Selak, Monique.
Don't worry about that. That's so she's letting you know that blood magic is being used to cast spells. A lot of times it's the loss of life, and the kind of blood that's best is either royal blood and stuff like that, right? So let's go read, because he said, don't pass your kids to the fire of Molech, right?
Yep.
And in other words, that's blood magic, where you burned your kid alive for whatever you wanted. Let's go to 2 Kings 21. Second Kings 21. We're going to read 1 through 2 and verse 6. 2 Kings 21, 1 through 2 and verse 6. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abominations of the heathen.
After who?
After the abominations of the heathen.
So it's not your ancestry then, right? Then you picked it up from the nations. Go ahead.
Whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel.
Oh, so all those Canaanites and stuff that was in this land who the Lord cast out, that's who he followed. Let's skip on down to verse 6. Go ahead.
And he made his son pass through the fire, and observed times, and used enchantments, and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. He wrought much wickedness in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger.
So he made his child pass through the fire. Now, when you think about that, what he did, for whatever reasons he did, usually when you press and you want something, right? What he did, you think about it, you object about it and say, I don't believe he did that. But you doing it too. Throw that other slide up there. The one with the owl. Molech was always known, I don't know, they have switched it up today, but Molech was always known as an owl god, right? Yep. They even got it, if you go to the King Center in Atlanta, they got a little owl over there. So Molech was always an owl god. And he said, don't let your kids pass through the fire in Molech, right? Blow that up.
Right.
Now, you can see this Sri Lankan money right here. They got an owl right on it. You looking at this golden owl, and then if you pull out $1 and look right there, you got an owl on it. And then some of y'all got y'all children or allowed y'all children to do things for that dollar.
For money.
And you looking at him and thinking, man, he let his kid go through the fire. When your child getting shot up for selling something he or she shouldn't be selling or doing, guess what you doing?
Same
thing.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't no different. So I don't want y'all, because a lot of times we get in this Bible and look at these people as like they were just in a story. These are real people with real feelings just like you. And they making the same decisions they made.
Yep.
Sri Lanka don't have no problem just putting it right smack dead on there. At least America tried to hide it.
Right.
But you look at your dollar, it's right there.
Yep, I saw it.
Now, I would have put a better picture up there, but I needed something that was copyright safe.
Right.
So just pay attention. Let's keep going. Let's go to 1 Samuel 28. We're going to show you hoodoo right here in the Bible. It's no different than what your grandma used to do. And you know, you want that man, girl? Okay, just put this, or you want that job, throw this in the drink, or put it on the food, and they'll do it. And it's true, it'll happen. We have seen some people who should have never walked out of a courtroom. The judge doesn't let them out. And we've seen that. It is for real. You're like, man, you killed 15 people right in front of the camera. They didn't have enough evidence. 1 Samuel 28. 1 Samuel 28. Let me show you. Let the Bible speak. Ready? 28:1. We're going to skip to 3, then we're going to skip to 6.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Israel. And Achish said unto David, know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men.
So the point of me reading that verse to show you that Saul was at war, that Israel was at war. So in war, you got times that are pressing, right? So this to show you that they at war. Verse 3, go ahead.
Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented.
Hold on. What? Read that over.
Now Samuel was dead.
Now read that one more time so we got it.
Samuel was dead.
He was dead, okay? Go ahead.
And all Israel had lamented him and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land.
So Samuel was dead, and Saul had done the right thing according to the Lord. He put all those for people with familiar spirits and wizards and enchanters, he put them out like he had supposed to. But things got pressing. He's looking for something, right? Let's skip on down to verse 6. Go ahead.
And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not.
Oh, keep going.
Neither by dreams nor by Urim.
What did that lady say? I get answers, and I got no answers from God. Was Saul keeping the Lord's law? No. So he didn't get no answers. But now he's looking for answers because he's pressed up against it. So let's see exactly what he's going to do. Remember, I told you, when they're looking for that manifestation and they don't get it, this is the road they travel. Go ahead.
Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor.
Go ahead.
And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment. And he went and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up whom I shall name unto thee.
Go ahead.
And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die?
Go ahead, read this next verse.
And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord liveth.
Wait a minute. Keep going.
There shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing.
Y'all didn't see that? The Lord ain't giving Saul an answer. And he gonna seek out a familiar spirit with the Lord says is abomination to him, and then gonna promise and swear by the Lord that no punishment I'm sorry. It's so hard to fathom that I can't hardly explain it. That how you gonna, what license do you have to swear by the Lord, and the Lord done left you? But you gonna make a promise by the Lord that you gonna she ain't gonna have no punishment. That shows you what a familiar spirit can do to you. You see how is his mind even working?
Right.
He ain't getting no answer from the Lord.
Right.
He looking for an answer. You're going to seek outside the Lord. You're going to straight out seek to Satan for an answer, and then you're going to go and tell this person that's working for Satan that ain't no punishment going to come to them. This is what happens to you when you start going after this. Keep going.
Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel.
Go ahead.
And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul.
Wait, who told her he was Saul? Didn't we say that familiar spirit speak low out of the dust? Probably whispered in there. Hey, that's Saul right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Now she said, why you deceive me and you believe and you are Saul? But did y'all check out the other things that was happening? She said she saw Samuel. That evil spirit, I told you, when you don't know who the sucker is, it's you. He got them all looped up because now he done made himself look like Samuel. To her, because Saul ain't seeing nothing.
Right.
It's her that's doing he about to use her for the conversation. We've seen this before. Didn't we see it in Ghost?
Yeah.
And they used the Israelite, didn't they?
Yep, they sure did.
And she started talking like the dude. But check it out. We get it all the time. We need to be careful because those people come to you and they'll tell you, you'll see it on the show, the real live show. Yeah, I know what your grandma used to call. She used to call you Little Nuck Nuck. And you thinking Little Nuck Nuck? The only me and grandma knew about Little Nuck Nuck.
Right.
This must be the one. And they got you. The hooks is in, the fix is in. And you are hooked. And let me show you what hook looks like. Keep reading.
And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth.
Go ahead.
And he said unto her, what form is he of?
Go ahead.
And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel.
Oh, he perceived it was Samuel, right? But she said, an old man, the evil spirit put the show on. Let's get it going, y'all. Let's go. The time is up. Then he come looking like Samuel to her face. And so she is telling him what it is. And Saul like, oh, I know that's Samuel. But we just read what? Samuel was dead. And the dead know not anything. What verse?
With middle 14.
Go ahead.
And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself.
Now, if Samuel was, if there was a Holy Spirit at all, that Holy Spirit would have said, don't bow to me, bow to God, right? Isn't that what it said? Right? When they bowed to him?
Right.
But he allowed it. You should have known something was up. But Saul ain't going to know that. Why? Because Saul been duped by this evil spirit. So he bowed to it. Go ahead.
15. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more.
Go ahead.
Neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do.
You notice how Samuel, how the evil spirit is acting like he really Samuel? Why you wake me up? Like I was just sitting here, laying here sleeping, right? What you waking me up for, man? Thou shalt surely, what did he say? You shall not surely die. Satan is running that whole game. You shall not, if Samuel is up, that means he's not dead. You shall not surely die. I told you it was going to weave its way through the whole lesson. Go ahead.
Then said Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee and has become thine enemy?
Now that evil spirit know that, don't he? Now check this out. You notice how he talking to her? Isn't that exactly what the girl said she was doing with her ancestors, pouring out a little liquor and everything, right? Dropping him a whole thing. He like Hennessy. I'm going to pour him some.
Right.
Like he living.
Right.
Go ahead.
And the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand and given it to thy neighbor, even to David.
Go ahead.
Because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord.
Why? Because you obeyed not the voice of the Lord. That's what, keep going, go ahead.
Nor executed his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto thee this day.
Man, this evil spirit know the whole story, don't he?
Yes, he do.
He running Saul's whole pedigree down right in front of him. Saul could have easily just asked that evil spirit that was already on him. Why did he use that way? He was going to seek one out.
Right.
Go ahead.
Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines. And tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. The Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines.
But y'all got to see all of the foolishness that's going on in this conversation. Nothing is making sense. He's telling them like he's living. And saying, thou and thy son should be with me. Saul, if he was really living, Saul should say, okay, that's cool. We're still going to be walking around here like ghosts.
Right.
But he telling them, you going to be dead like me. Then that should have, if I'm with you and you dead, how you talking? That'd be cool. Then I'd still be talking and walking around. Okay. It shouldn't be no big deal, but you know it's a big deal because the truth, you know that you will be dead and you won't be. But when you are involved in this, he got him so wrapped up and sucked in it, he thinking it's going, he knows that even though he's telling them this, that tomorrow you're going to be dead. But that evil spirit knew the whole story, knew what was going to happen. So that lets you know every time everybody prophesying unto you, that don't mean they of God. This evil spirit is prophesying to Saul right now, telling him exactly what's going to happen. That don't mean it's from the Lord. Let's keep going. Let's go to, that was 19?
Yes, that was 19.
Yep, that was 19. Let's keep going. Let's go to conjure. It's another definition. Did I give it to you? Normally, I don't use a whole lot of definitions, but because this is such a foreign situation to people, people have not paid attention to all that was going on. So you notice that what she was working was hoodoo. That's what hoodoo does. They conjure. That's a conjure man, a conjure woman, right? So, but she was still an Israelite. She just practiced hoodoo. So just like you see these people in modern Christendom, grandmama and all of them, and they still practice hoodoo. And we noticed that it's saying, it's going to say some words here like familiar and familial, like family. Satan do the same thing. You know how the Lord worked with the Levites? He works with a family. So Big Mama got it, but the daughter didn't get it. But then we gave it to grandbabies. I saw she had the spirit on her. I've seen that in one of these YouTube videos where the girl was talking about how she went on and accepted. They knew she had the power a long time ago. And she charges people to do this kind of stuff. But let's look up this definition of conjure. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Conjure, also known as hoodoo or root work, is an old and powerful system of North American folk magic. Its roots derive primarily from West and Central African spiritual traditions, but it developed during the slave trade. And its purpose at that time was to help ease the terrible oppression experienced by the slaves.
Oh, what happened then? Why did castration still happen?
Right.
So it was there to try to ease something that God put on you and they couldn't get you out of there. But that's what hoodoo or conjure, it's not a religion, it's a practice. And that's what you saw this witch at Endor practicing. She was a conjure woman. Let's keep going. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 10. So Saul decided to listen to this conjure, or to go to her and listen to her. Let's see what happened. Saul, how Jesus had said, hey, you got to give it all up. What would you give for your life? Saul trying to play both sides of the fence. I'm going to serve the Lord, and then I'm still going to do what I want to do. Just like you see today. You see it today in all modern day Christendom. We was all doing it.
Yep.
I'm going to serve God, but hey, that Christmas look good. We all seen it. Let's keep going. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 10. First Chronicles 10 and 13. First Chronicles 10 and 13. And let's look at Saul. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So Saul died for his transgression,
Uh-huh.
which he committed against the Lord, even against the word of the Lord, which he kept not. And also,
But even against what? The word of the Lord, which he did what?
which he kept
Which
not.
he kept not. So you asking for answers, but you ain't keeping his word. That's why you keep getting these wrong answers. What happened? Go ahead.
And also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit to inquire of it. And inquired not of the Lord. Therefore he slew him and turned the kingdom unto David, the son of Jesse.
You see why he died? He asked counsel of a familiar spirit and not the Lord. But he said he asked counsel of the Lord. He didn't answer him because you didn't turn to keep the commandments. Anytime you cannot get counsel of the Lord if you don't keep his commandments. That's why I'm so appalled when they tell you they prophesied in your life, but they didn't tell you to keep the commandments. You saw Saul said he asked. You saw her say she asked. But if you ain't got that, you asking a wrong, you asking amiss. Let's keep going. Let's go to Exodus 7. Because remember, I want you to remember what the lady said. She said, if you come to me and you coming with, and you got pleasantries, everything gonna be all good. But if you come with your attitude, I'm gonna be eviling, your worst nightmare. Well, let's look, because we better be worried about that. She could be our worst nightmare. Let's look. Let's look. Because they all teaching you to be afraid of them.
Right.
Right? So let's go. Exodus 7 and 8. Exodus 7 and 8. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, take thy rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent.
Okay, so we know this is when Israel was getting out of Egypt, and Pharaoh, Moses was doing battle with Pharaoh, going back and forth. The Lord was working with Moses and Aaron, right? So he's telling them, hey, I want you to go into Pharaoh and cast your rod down. And I use this one, I didn't use Nebuchadnezzar and none of the Gentile stuff because they stuff didn't work. So I want to use one that actually worked, right? Go ahead, go.
And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt, and they also did in like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents.
Oh, so Pharaoh said, hey, I'm backing the right guys. You cast your little rod down, became a serpent. Hey, do y'all thing.
Right.
And they go and do it and then become a serpent too. So what? I got my thing too. Right? So remember who he called though? The magicians. So I told you Egypt had this stuff too. And he called the magicians, and you think they working with the Lord, or they working with whom? They working with those evil spirits. But let's see who's really in charge. Go ahead.
But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods.
So now Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. Verse 13.
And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said.
But Pharaoh still said, hey, and they still cast into a rod, right? Their rod still went to a serpent. So that made Pharaoh's heart harden because it made him believe more. Their hooks was in them. He been paying them. They starting to believe because their stuff is working. So all the stuff they've been telling them before was always working. Let's skip on down to 17. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, in this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink. And the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. And the Lord spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, take thy rod and stretch out thine hand upon the waters of Egypt, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone.
So the Lord now come and he's turning those waters to blood, right? But let's see if Pharaoh's guys can turn it back. Go ahead.
And Moses and Aaron did so as the Lord commanded. And he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that was in the water in the river died, and the river stank.
Now that's how you know Israel wrote this. Stank. so the river stank because the fish died. The Lord turned all this to blood. And keep going. Let's see if they can get them out of it, though. Go ahead.
And the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantment, and Pharaoh's heart was hard.
So they probably showed him another little trick. Hey, we could do this and make this happen. But one thing they couldn't do. Keep going.
And neither did he hearken unto them as the Lord had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house. Neither did he set his heart to this also.
Go ahead.
And all the Egyptians digged round about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink of the water of the river.
Oh, but they still couldn't turn it back from blood back to water. But they still did some stuff with their enchantments. But you got to think what was happening. How was all this going on? Who was doing it? Let's go to Psalm 78. Psalm 78. So the Lord was showing Moses and Aaron, hey, turn this water to blood, do this and do that, right? Cause the frogs to come up and do all this. And you had the magicians and all of them there with their enchantments. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to Psalm 78, 43. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Psalm 78, 43. Psalm 78, 43. Go ahead.
How he had wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan.
Talking about how the Lord did this for Israel, how he wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders from the field of Zoan. Go ahead.
And had turned their rivers into blood and their floods that they could not drink.
So we talking about the same time. Go ahead.
He sent divers sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs, which destroyed them.
Go ahead.
He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost.
Go ahead.
He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts.
So we talking about the same time, right? Go ahead, 49.
He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation,
How you do it?
and trouble by sending evil angels among them.
So he did all this with the evil angels? I thought Moses was doing it. Moses was controlling both of them. So if the servant of God controlling evil angels, why am I afraid of you? Why am I worried about you being evil when I run you? My God is the boss. When I step in the room, I'm the boss, not you. That's what you better know as servants of God. Why would I go to your God when my God control your God? He used your God to do his bidding. And you want me to go bow to you? Are you crazy? You evil leader, are you? Let's go. Let's keep going, man. Let's go to Jeremiah 10. Let's show you all the examples of the workers of Satan. But there's no way you, as a servant of God, and gave all up to serve God, to look at them in awe, as if they got some power that they could run you, when you could tell their God to sit down and be quiet. Why? Because you coming with the word of the Lord. You coming with the Holy Spirit. And last I checked, I ain't never seen the Paul and none of them be ran by the evil spirit. They always cast the evil spirit out. So why would I run from you because you want to be evil lean? You can be what you want to be, but you ain't got nothing coming here. Let's go to where we at, Jeremiah 10.
Jeremiah 10.
Now, we all know this story, and we coming up on it. But let's look here and pay attention. Jeremiah 10. And we're going to show you, now that we showed you all this stuff, we're going to show you how all of this stuff remember in the Bible, it tells you about its evil, wickedness in high places. This is going all the way up. Now we're going to get down to the real witchcraft. So let's go to Jeremiah 10 and 1. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah 10 and 1. Go ahead.
Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go.
Go ahead.
Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good.
Because it's a tree. I ain't never known no tree to do nothing wrong. You might have run into one and blame it, but technically it was just standing there, or sitting, or whatever, right? But it is a tree. It is nothing in it to do evil or good, but we know that we come up on this time right now. You got to bear it. You got to do all that stuff, right? It needs to be born. That's what born is, to carry. Okay? So now let's keep going, though. Let's get down to it. Let's go to verse 8. Go ahead.
But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanity.
It's all for nothing. Go ahead.
Silver spread into places brought from Tarshish, and gold from Euphaz, the work of the workman and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men.
Put that first slide back up for me. They all the work of cunning men. It said the silver and the blue and the gold, and you saw the tree and all of that. This letting you know something. Put that slide back up for me. Now you look at that, all the blue and purple, all the stuff that the witchcraft people use. But look, you got the same embroidered work, the other colors. Look at this, that scarlet. It's all there. But Satan is just playing you. He's just telling you, oh, you look at these people here, or look at them and say, oh, no, that's just witchcraft. But what is this? It's all the same. And we're going to show you when we go to these other scriptures, we're going to see all these same color codes is all the same stuff he uses. Because it's all attractive. It's all vanity. You can take it down. Let's go to Ezekiel 27. We're going to take a look at it. You got all of, like you got this with the sun coming down. That's the Egyptologists. They think they sun god is Ra. They even say, and when they talking about this, you know, they say, during this time of year, we can't do a whole lot of power because we ain't got the sun. The sun ain't out long enough. Because that's what they about. That's why Satan is showing you they stuff inside of what they call in Christianity, which is really just Christendom. And showing you, oh, you need the sun, S-U-N of righteousness, right? All of his stuff is there. But let's keep going. Let's go to Ezekiel 27. Ezekiel 27 and 1. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's look at them. Go ahead.
The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, now, thou son of man, take up a lamentation for Tyrus, and say unto Tyrus, O thou that art situated at the entry of the sea, which art a merchant of the people for many isles. Thus saith the Lord God, O Tyrus, thou hast said, I am a perfect beauty.
So he's telling them, Tyrus said, I'm a perfect beauty. He said, go talk to the king of Tyrus. You have situated yourself right in the middle to do all the trafficking to get everything, right? You right there and you say, hey, I'm a perfect beauty. Now, look, there's a lot of good looking people in this world, although I am not one. However, it's some people that they look real nice. Perfect in beauty though? You know, they perfect in beauty, like super Christian. But let's keep going. You gotta put some eye on some of this stuff to say, okay, if this is perfect in beauty, who is this really talking to? Let's go, verse 7, go ahead.
Fine linen with embroidered work from Egypt was that which thou spreadest forth to be thy sail. Blue and purple from the isles of Elisha was that which covered thee.
Didn't we just see that in all that blue and purple and scarlet color and all the embroidered work? He letting you know who he is. And he letting you know who he's behind. Skip on down to 13. Go ahead.
Javan, Tubal, and Meshach. They were thy merchants.
So these are all Gentile nations, right? Javan, Tubal, and Meshach. You go to Genesis 10, look at the table of nations. Go ahead, finish.
They traded the persons of men.
What is that?
Slavery.
Slavery. Satan was behind it all. Just like how the Lord used him and his people to destroy Egypt, he used him and his people to destroy other nations, including Israel. So he said, they traded the persons of men, right? And go ahead.
And vessels of brass in thy market.
They did everything. Let's skip on to Ezekiel 28:1. So that was the king of Tyrus, right? Go ahead.
The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man, and not God. Though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee.
So we know who he's talking to, but you notice he was the king of Tyrus, the prince of Tyrus, still king of Tyrus, still running the nation of Tyrus, right? Well, but pay attention. So he showed them, you behind this nation and you behind that nation. Go ahead.
With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasure.
Why you think they asking him for that stuff? Because they know who got it. What, they asking for the stuff he got? I told you he was Lenny. He got slaves, I got gold, I got blue and purple scarlet, I got it all. And I'm situated right in the middle of everything, so y'all can all come to me and get it. Go ahead.
By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches.
Go ahead.
Therefore saith the Lord God, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God.
So this guy is setting his heart as the heart of God. Pay attention to it, note it down, because we're going to see it again. He is setting his heart as the heart of God, right? Let's keep going. Skip on down to 11. Go ahead.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God, thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty.
So we know the Lord keep putting the label on so you'll know who he's talking about. Full of wisdom, perfect in beauty. You know about, you wiser than Daniel. You know about everything. So much so, I had to keep the message from Daniel hidden from me and get it to Daniel. You tried to block that. But he say, hey, you full of wisdom, perfect in beauty. Go ahead.
Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold.
Go ahead.
The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created.
I made you bad when I created you, man. And you were the only one in Eden, the garden of God. So we know what we're talking about. This is Satan, right? He got everything set up, and you got all the good stuff, the precious, the pearls, the Louis, the Gucci, the Uchi. Whatever is out there, he got it. Whatever name they make up tomorrow, he got it. Because you know you have one come up tomorrow.
Right.
I got the Mercedes, then I got Bugatti. And what was that 30 years ago?
Right.
You know? Whatever you want, I got it. Right? Go ahead.
Thou art the anointed cherub that covered, and I have set thee so.
Who set him so? The Lord did. Are you the anointed cherub that covered? So we know we way past king or prince of Tyrus. We talking about the Satan, the devil, right? We talking about the same one that he had destroy Egypt. Go ahead.
Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou was created.
Until what?
Till the iniquity was found in thee.
Say, hey, you see he found sin in him, but he was perfect in his way. All his stuff was set up. You can see why Eve would listen to him. Man, his pipes is bad. He coming in there just talking to her just as smooth as you want to be.
Yes, sir.
Just like he coming to you. Just like you whisper out of the dust when they come to you. Would you like your psychic reading done today? Right? Same way. Smooth. Go ahead.
By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore, I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee.
I'm going to kill you, dude. But he let what lifted him up? All his brightness, all that vanity, all the stuff they asking for is what lifted their head up. You got to hear one of these witches really talk. They tell you about what they get from people and how much they got.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that always happens to them. Usually, you look up what happened to Miss Cleo, they die broke.
Mm-hmm.
When the evil spirit is done with them, they done with them.
Yep.
It's a brother that's over one of these classes who mother was involved in it. His father and his grandmother was involved in it. His father was involved in it. And that evil spirit prophesied to her and told her, your son about to get shot. She told her grandson about his father. Your father about to get shot. You go there with a car. Do not let him get in that ambulance because he's going to die. And he ran over there. As soon as he gets there, the shot happened. His father on the ground. He pick him up. But she tells him he gonna live because she did her little stuff and he survived, just like she said. But when at the end, when it was time for her to go, it was time to go. The evil spirit is the one that took her out. She saw it. She told her daughter to move out the way. It got her, and she was out of there. It's real. So just like here, he's telling him, when I'm done with you, I'm going to deal with you. When I'm done letting you do what you need to do for me, I'm going to deal with you. So it is no different. But let's keep going. Ezekiel 29, we're going to start at 1. Let's look at him again because we done seen him. And we see that, hey, because of your beauty, all your vanity, all the stuff that people love about you, all what you loved about yourself is what's puffing you up. All your wisdom and everything you done got it. You have it all. Mm-hmm. And that's what puffed you up to do this evil. Mm-hmm. Let's go to 29 and 1. Go ahead.
In the 10th year, in the 10th month, in the 12th day of the month, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying,
go ahead.
Son of man, set thy face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him, against all Egypt.
So now we talk about Egypt, huh? And guess who's still behind it? Go ahead.
Speak and say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lieth in the midst of his rivers, which hath said, my river is mine own, and I have made it for myself.
So now he's talking to Egypt, but guess who he's still talking to? He said, this river is my own. I made it for myself. Go ahead, verse 4.
But I will put hooks in thy jaws, and I will cause the fish of thy rivers to stick unto thy scales, and I will bring thee up out of the midst of thy rivers, and all the fish of thy rivers shall stick unto thy scales.
Go ahead.
And I will leave thee thrown into the wilderness. Thee and all the fish of thy rivers, thou shalt fall upon the open field. Thou shalt not be brought together nor gathered. I have given thee for meat to the beast of the field and to the fowls of the heaven.
So he told it in Egypt, hey, I done set you up and you the dragon and the great dragon that lieth in the midst of his rivers. And he let him know, all these fish that sticking to your scales, I'm going to put a hook in your jaw and bring them all out. And when I bring them out, when you bring fish out of water, what happens?
They die.
They die. Suffer to death because they choke. Right? Let's keep going because you see all the places where he is, right? Let's go to Revelations 20. He said that great dragon, didn't he? The great dragon that lieth in the midst of his rivers. And you done said all the stuff you getting is your own.
Yep.
It belongs to you. You run it. You do. Revelations 20, 1 and 2. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's put a name on them. Let's make sure we're talking to the right person. 21 and 2. Go ahead.
And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he had laid hold on the dragon.
The dragon laid hold on him.
No, sir.
He laid hold. Didn't the Lord say, I'm going to bring you out? He said he laid hold on the dragon. Go ahead.
That old serpent.
And what else?
Which is the devil and Satan. And bound him 1,000 years.
So you now know who that dragon in that river was. And all his little people, his minions, whether you're doing witchcraft, whether you're doing Sunday Christian, whether you're doing Santa Claus, whatever it is you're doing, whether you sun worshiping, you all sticking to him.
Right.
And he gonna pull you out and kill you.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about the real witchcraft now. We're not talking about all the little stuff you're doing. We're talking about where it's getting down to. Let's go to Luke 4 and 5 through 8. So he said, I'm going to grab that hold of that dragon, which is Satan the devil, and bound him 1,000 years. But he said he running all this stuff, right?
Mhm.
He talked to Tyrus. Then he talked to Egypt. And then he was trading merchant with the Gentiles. He was running all of it. Let's check it out. Let's see if he lying. Luke 4:5. Maybe he think he running it. Luke 4:5. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Luke 4:5. Go ahead.
And the devil, taking him up into a high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of
So
time.
this is the devil taking Jesus, the Lord, up into a high mountain, and he shows him all the kingdoms in the world, including these ones down here too. All the kingdoms, in a moment of time, just showed him. And what he say?
And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it.
Why you think the Lord was talking to the king of Tyrus and Pharaoh, king of Egypt? Because Satan was giving it to him. He said, all the kingdoms of the world, and then he said, for whosoever I will, I give it. What did Jesus say?
In
verse
we're still at 7.
Okay, go ahead. Verse 7.
Satan's still talking.
Yeah.
If thou therefore wilt worship me, all shall be thine.
Oh, so just like he's telling them, if you do all this other stuff, you will get what you want. Jesus, you a king. You always been a king. If you'll worship me, you ain't got to go through no going on the cross.
Right.
It'll be all yours right now. I can give it to you. Ye shall not surely die. You don't have to go through all this. Same message. I'm going to give it all to you with ease because you want this vanity. Go ahead.
And Jesus answered and said unto him, get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve.
That's what Saul should have said. Right?
Yes, sir.
But he didn't. The wrong king. So he came at Jesus with this. But guess what Jesus didn't say? No, it ain't. That ain't yours. Why he didn't say that? Because it's his.
It is his.
Right now, it's his to give. And that's how they working with witchcraft. Because it's his to give.
Yes.
I got the scarlet, I got the purple, I got the gold, I got the red bottom shoes. I got all you want. I got success, I got fame. I got get out of jail free cards, I got it all. Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's go to Revelation 16.
Yes, sir.
He offered the same thing Jesus was telling you. He offered Jesus the whole world in exchange for his belief. Same thing he offering you, the whole world in exchange for your belief. But Jesus hit him with the word. Hey, only the Lord shall you serve. Revelation 16:12. So since it don't always just got to be him, let's check out what he did. Revelation 16, verse 12. You ready?
Yes, sir.
16 and 12. Go ahead.
And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the ways of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet.
Oh, so just like he got, he told him that great dragon, right? That the Lord told him, I'm pull you out. That same dragon got unclean spirits coming out of the mouth of the beast, coming out of the mouth of the false, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, right? So the dragon told the beast and the false prophet what to say and do. And so now he done mobilized people just like he doing now. Go ahead.
For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty.
They are the spirits of who? Devils working what? Miracles. They can work miracles. That false prophet is working miracles. But he telling you right now, like, hey, they are the spirits of devils working. So everybody that's working miracles don't mean they're coming from the Lord.
That's correct.
Just because you see a miracle done don't mean that's who you follow. This is how you get got. That's why I told you are not exempt. They love the ones that's trying to serve God. I work a miracle before you go, I know that's God, because he couldn't be able to do that. Go ahead, read the next verse.
15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame.
The Lord gonna know who you really was following. You follow him because you can get some stuff. Only reason you serve the Lord because you, like people, like Jesus said, only reason some of y'all here is because I'm feeding you. You got to pay attention. This is how he gonna come. Let's go to Daniel 8:23, because he said he saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of that dragon, that same dragon that was in Egypt, the same dragon that's called Satan the devil. He said he saw 3 unclean spirits coming out of the mouth of the dragon, coming out of the mouth of the beast, come out of the mouth of the false prophet. This is where we gonna get to witchcraft at its highest level. Let's go Daniel 8:23.
Yes, sir.
We got a few more little short places. Daniel 8:23. Daniel 8:23. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
So he said now he got a king of fierce countenance, understanding dark sentences. He got somebody that he's mobilizing. But remember, he said he's wiser than Daniel. So he can get this man all kind of understanding. So keep going. Go ahead.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
And he gonna kill God's people. But he said his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, because his power is from the dragon. Then he said he saw 3 unclean spirits come out like frogs out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet. You looking at the false prophet who he mobilizes. There's many false prophets going out into the world, and he gonna mobilize a whole lot of them too. Good. Let's look at his attributes. Go ahead.
25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
He shall cause what?
Craft.
What kind of craft you think that is?
Witchcraft.
So those miracles are done by witchcraft. Go ahead.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many.
He gonna magnify himself where?
In his mind.
Didn't that what we just read said, you set your heart as the heart of God. You thought you should be like God. You asked God, sitting, all of that. He magnified his himself in his heart, just like the one who gave him that message did. The same one who gave him that when he said he's got power not by his own power, the way he getting his power from is teaching him to be like him. Keep going. Go ahead.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without
Didn't
hand.
the Lord say I was going to kill? I'm going to put you down all the ones that stuck to your scales.
Yep.
You the dragon, I'm going to pull out all the ones that stuck to your scales. He going to get broken without hand too. Let's keep going. Where we at? We have finished.
We finished 25.
25.
Yep.
Let's keep going. Let's go to Revelation 13.
Let's go. Yes, sir.
Revelations 13:4. We're going to read 4, 8, and 15. Revelations 13:4, 8, and 15. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Revelation 13. Go ahead.
And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world.
So he said, and they worship the dragon, that same dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto it, right? And then he said, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life. Just like it said about these our ancestors, the ones that didn't follow the word of God. You're the one that worship him. Your name is not written in the book of life. So you go that way if you want to, but this is what your end gonna look like. Keep going. What we did, we finish 8?
We finished 8.
Let's go to 15. Go ahead.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Didn't it say craft gonna prosper in his hand?
Yes, it did.
Didn't it say that he had power, but not by his own power.
That's correct.
And that he was going to work miracles. If you make some image walk and talk, that's one heck of a miracle.
Yes, it is.
And look, if Jesus said that if it wasn't, if it were possible even to see that it will deceive the very elect, that means it's going to be real good. It's not going to be some little rinky-dink, oh, he got AI or more. No, don't believe that at all. It's robotic, it's internet. No, that's just technology. We're supposed to have technology. This will be real. Right? Let's keep going. Let's go to Acts 19.
Yes, sir.
Acts 19 and 13. Acts 19 and 13, and we got two more places. They short. Acts 19 and 13. You ready?
Yes, sir.
We're going to read 13 through 16. Let's look at this. So, because see, everybody like those people you saw there, they always look good for a moment. They look good like, man, look, they doing some stuff. But always change when the real deal come on. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Acts 19 and 13. Go ahead.
Then certain of the vagabond Jews, exorcists, took upon them to call over them which had evil spirits the name of the Lord Jesus, saying, we adjure you by Jesus whom Paul preaches.
I guess they wanted to make sure we weren't making no mistakes. We adjure you by Jesus that Paul preached about, right? But they were vagabond Jews and they were exorcists. Exorcists. But they decide, hey, that ain't working, so we're going to have to go with Jesus, right? So we're going to call on the name of Jesus that Paul preaches, right? But remember, the Lord can't hear you. He answers his servants, but you ain't no servant. He can't hear you. Go ahead.
And there were 7 sons of one Sceva, a Jew, and chief of the priests, which did so.
They was what? Chief of the priests? The chief of the priests? You supposed to be the one claiming the word of God, but you are exorcists, right? And these are the sons of the chief priests. It's like them preacher kids always going wrong, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the evil spirit answered and said, Jesus I know, and Paul I know, but who are you?
Didn't I tell y'all they love y'all? They know who y'all are. If you serve God, already got a dossier on you. Oh yeah, that's Curtis. You did this for him. You did. I know everything about him. He said, Jesus I know, and yeah, Paul I know. He done cast me out a few times, right? But who are you? Go ahead.
And the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them and overcame them and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded.
Didn't I tell you how the evil spirits work? You go look up what happened to Miss Cleo. She died of cancer, broke, naked and wounded. When they done with you, they done with you. Okay, skip on down to verse 18. Let's see, because see, remember I just told you a story about the woman whose grandson had to go get his father. They got this big time guy used to be in Chicago named Lawrence. He had a great power with all the witchcraft people, right? And they make plenty money. I was just watching another video on YouTube. They make plenty money doing this stuff. Or somebody usually making some money off of them too, doing this. And let's look at the value of what they charge for all this stuff. Skip on down to verse 18. Go ahead.
And many that believed came and confessed and showed their deeds.
Go ahead.
Many of them also which used curious arts.
Yeah, what is curious arts?
Witchcraft.
You see the curious art store. That's what she went into, right?
Yeah.
So many of them which had used curious arts, go ahead,
brought their books together and burned them before all men. And they counted the price of them and found it 50,000 pieces of silver.
50,000 pieces of silver. You know what that's worth now? $5.5 million. That's a lot of money they charge for that stuff. $5.5 million. They went and burned all those books. I told you always look good until the real priest show up, like that joke that Cat Williams did. Dodge Charger or Dodge they look like a phantom till a phantom show up. You look like the priest till I get there.
Right.
You look like you should be scared of an Eveline till I get there. Right? Let's keep going. Let's go to Acts 16 and 16. Acts 16 and 16. You ready? And
Yes,
then
sir.
one more place after this. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass, as we went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with a spirit of divination met us, which brought her masters much gain by soothsaying.
Oh, she brought what? She didn't get the gain. She brought her masters much gain. Like I say, you look at that story, all the people that own that show, they got a lot of money off Miss Cleo. But she brought her masters much gain. Satan will use you too. Go ahead.
The same followed Paul and us and cried, saying, these men are the servants of the Most High God, which show unto us the way of salvation.
And what happened?
And this did she many days. But Paul, being grieved, turned and said to the spirit, I command thee in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. And he came out the same hour.
If you so evilly, why that evil spirit said, I'll put you in a hex right now? It didn't. It came out the same hour. As soon as Paul commanded it, it didn't command Paul. But that lets you know something else too. Everybody is always, praise the Lord. That don't mean they got the Holy Spirit on them.
Right.
They doing all that. She doing, these be the men of salvation. All she doing was disrupting the gospel. And Paul got so grieved, he spoke straight to that spirit and said, come out of her. This is the last place, 1 Samuel 15:22. We're bringing it all the way back to Saul. First Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. We're going to bring it all the way back home. Back to where we showed you something about Saul. We got to finish that story. Ready?
Yes, sir.
1 Samuel 15 and 22. Go ahead.
And Samuel said, hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams.
Because we know Saul had decided to sacrifice the animals that the Lord told him to kill everything. And Samuel letting them know, obey, keeping the commandments, obedience is better than any sacrifice. Heck, if you kept the commandments, you wouldn't have to sacrifice, right?
Right.
He said obedience is better than sacrifice, to hearken, to listen, than the fat of rams. Go ahead.
For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft.
What? Rebellion is what?
As the
sin of witchcraft. Just obedience alone, you might as well get you a crucible and be doing a seance. He said rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And go ahead.
And stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry.
And go ahead.
Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king.
And if you rejected the word of the Lord, he gonna reject you. I thank you for your time. I rest my case. Go ahead.